I've nearly made 500 YouTube videos recommending FIFA career mode save ideas. You might have watched one of these series too, but today we're turning the tables, and in our second FC25 episode, I'll be looking at another bunch of your career mode saves. I'll be rating them based on how good I think they are, and I want you to join in too. All of the saves posted in today's video were posted on Discord first, so if you're interested in being in a future one of these videos, make sure you join with the link that's in the description below this video. And also, don't forget to play along and post your ratings in the comments below, or head over to Discord and vote in the channel where we can help find the best save of all time. Today I've picked out some of the best saves that have been submitted since the last episode, so where will we be heading to first? Well, did you know that Juan plays in Australia now? I definitely didn't know, and Iselda's save actually starts off as a player career, and unlike other player careers, he's actually waited a few months to retire. In his final match, Juan would start a game against Adelaide, and of course, he was the one that scored the goal that secured Western Sydney's first ever A-League title. So now he's retired, and it's time for Juan to become a manager. He had two pretty realistic options. There was a poll that asked if he should stay in Australia and manage Brisbane, or he could move back to London and take over Bromley in League 2. The people in the thread voted for Brisbane, which I think is a really good move for this kind of save. It's realistic that Juan would stay in Australia. After a full season managing Brisbane, they went into the last game of the season in first place by just 1 point. They drew the final game, but that was enough to get them into the playoff semi-finals. Before that game, Mata actually would announce he was leaving Australia as a manager at the end of the year, and Brisbane would go on to beat Auckland in the semi-final and then become A-League champions. Juan became the first ever person to win the back-to-back titles as both a player and a manager. Despite the instant success, it did actually look quite close when we look at the league table, so the difficulty does seem quite good. Juan would then move to Salzburg to be mentored by Jurgen Klopp, which is a tiny bit of a stretch, but Salzburg have been known to give some good young managers a chance. Salzburg would rebuild their squad from this to this, which isn't really the most realistic squad, but I do like that Iselda did decline the Bayern Munich offer because I think that would have been a bit too soon in Juan career to go from Australia to Austria to Germany in the space of about 2 years. Juan would win the league in Austria, and to make things harder, Iselda would accept a ton of bids for some of his younger players. To replace them, some older European players joined. Think about players like Guedes, Beto and Chong, and a ton more signings all joined Salzburg. That's where the save is up to now. In fact, the last post was a pretty ominous post saying that Juan just bought some San Diego FC, but that storyline hasn't been completed just yet. As always, we'll be rating the saves on 4 things: the realism, fun, difficulty and originality, with 5 stars being the best and 1 star being the lowest. So let's begin rating the Juan player career to manager career mode, and the Salzburg transfers did make me drop the realism a tiny bit, but I think the idea behind the save is really fun. Because we're moving around clubs so much, I think that this would keep the save fun for quite a while, and if Juan goes to the Bundesliga, the MLS or one of his old English clubs, you could extend the save to become really long. I think the amount of titles that's already been won makes me think the difficulty is maybe a little bit low, but like I said, I do like the save idea. If you want to vote, you can of course head over to the Discord channel to rate this save too, and at the end of the year, we'll try and find the very best save that anyone has submitted on FC25. The link to that is in the description. All you have to do is click on one of these reactions and your vote will be counted. But before we review our second save, today's video is sponsored by Proton VPN. And if you follow me on Instagram, you might have seen I spent a few weeks in Athens at the start of September. But while I was there, I tried to watch some Premier League football and found out that the app I used was blocked outside the UK. But that's where Proton VPN comes in, because I changed my virtual location back to Wales, and boom, I was able to watch a thrilling 1-1 draw between Forest and Wolves, while also looking at the Acropolis. This works with gaming, streaming services, and generally anything that's geo-locked, and also helps boost the privacy you have from your ISP. Proton VPN now has over 8,500 servers in 112 countries, so if you want to watch some geo-locked football, you now can do that with Proton VPN. Internet privacy is super important, especially as more and more sites try to track and sell your data, and having a VPN is the best way to protect yourself while also getting to enjoy more content all over the internet. I think an open source VPN based in Switzerland sounds pretty damn secure, and you can get started today for free and upgrade for as little as $4. You can get a 3-month trial by using the link in the description. Again, thank you to them for sponsoring, and all the information you need is in the description. Okay, we spent quite a while talking about that first save, so let's maybe speed things up for the rest of this video. Our next save is going to be an Almeria save submitted by Rafael, and this isn't actually the first time that Almeria's been in one of these save review videos. Rafael has started his first save with Almeria, and the background of his save is that it's a standard rebuild with the goal of taking the club back to La Liga. It seems like the rebuild is going pretty well because the club won promotion with about 6 games to spare. They played some nice football and built the squad fairly realistically for a La Liga push in Season 2. With the manager having Moroccan heritage, this was used for some of the signings, but players like Kieran Tierney and Andre Santos joining the club does make sense for a fairly big spending club in Spain. In fact, this is one of the longest saves in this video, and we're now in the 26 to 27 season. The team is full of academy players from some of the rarest nations on earth. There's Libyans, Guatemalans, and loads more. And now Almeria are actually fighting at the top of La Liga. There's lots of custom one-off kits being made, and while the save itself isn't too revolutionary or that exciting, the submission is pretty outstanding. I can tell there's been so much effort going in behind the season with lots of lore, there's lots of custom kits like I said before, lots of custom modding, and of course lots of custom graphics as well for almost every single match result. So here's my ratings for this save. I kind of knocked down realism because I do think that the club did grow a little bit too fast, but still, wherever transfers could be realistic and stuff like that, you did a good attempt, and similar can be said for the save idea. Almeria is a rare one, but it is pretty standard, but 4 out of 5 is fair for that, and the difficulty and originality seem decent too. Thank you for submitting the save. I know there's a lot of effort that goes into making one of these threads and putting all your screenshots in there. It was a really good read, and thank you for sending it in. Okay, so let's talk about one of the best save ideas I've seen for a long while, and it's FC Barcelona finding themselves in a financial crisis and ending up getting relegated to the 2nd division. Of course, there is a bit of background to this in real life. They spent so much money on Griezmann, Dembele and Coutinho that they did have to let Lionel Messi go, and there's an entire background to what happened in this thread. It starts off with Chapter 1, which is a history of why they have the financial problems, Chapter 2, the start of the season and why they started to fail, and then Chapter 3, 4 and 5 that explains the sort of history and why this save is happening. It's so cool. The entire squad does make sense. It's full of a lot of Spanish players, and I believe most of them did come through the academy at Barcelona. There's still some young players in there that might realistically stay, but Gavi and Pedri, for example, have been transfer listed and sold. You can see where every single player ended up, so Gavi went to Man United and Pedri went to PSG, and to replace them, Sergi Samper and Oriol Busquets both rejoined Barcelona to be the new midfield partnership. This squad is so interesting. This entire thread is so cool. Everything is using proper justification. There's goal scoring, there's player of the month awards, there's so many screenshots, and eventually Barcelona would return to the top flight. We've now just finished the 2027 season, and there's so much information. Every single growth of every single player is in here, the goals and assists for every single player, and the transfers are still absolutely amazing. The main goal of the save is to try and pay off all of Barcelona's debt, so this means accepting offers for players, and that will bring the debt further and further down. Match tickets and prize money will also pay off the debt, and with around $500 million of debt still to pay off, there is a lot of work that's going to be put into the rest of this save, and I definitely recommend that you join the thread and keep up to date with this save. It's so good, and that Polish guy has produced one of my favourite saves of the entire year, so let's get rating it. And I think we have to honestly say that this is a 5-star save idea. The realism is really good as well, 4 stars for that. The difficulty seems hard because he's still not won the league, and I think it's fair to say he's having a lot of fun as well. So this is one of my favourite saves we've ever been submitted, and I am so glad that I can include it in one of these videos. Thank you so much, and of course, like always, make sure you're rating that in the comments below. Okay, let's get back to a more traditional save, and we're also going to a country we've never seen in one of these save reviews before, San Marino. And Fiori are one of the best teams from that country. A4 has created them in Serie B, and this save is on Switch, so it is quite tough to share videos, and we're only going to be looking at screenshots, but it's still so worth talking about. The main thing I like to share here is the backstory, and the club were given £10 million by the Italian FA to help support some San Marino football, but if they break a single law in Italy, they will be sent back to San Marino and stripped of any achievements they won in the Italian leagues. I think this is such a unique backstory to have. I've never seen this in a save before, and I've never considered anything like this for one of my saves before either. As you'd expect, in the save, youth scouts were sent out to San Marino, and that's why I really do appreciate EA adding some of these new scoutable nations. If you're wondering how A4 is actually getting on in his save, well, he's third in Serie B and he's played 26 games of the first season. If this save goes on and keeps getting even better, I'll make sure to include it in a future video as well, and I'll make sure that if there's anything important, I'll keep you guys up to date. So, there's so many more unique ideas in the thread that I haven't mentioned. There's things like sponsors giving money if A4 can beat their objectives, which is something that really should just be in career mode. And if you want some new ideas for your next save, make sure you read through this thread after we finish this video. So let's rate the save, and here is what I've gone with. I think A4 has got a really good start to a really interesting save, although it is quite hard to judge how difficult the save is. That's why that one's a little bit lower, but seriously, really good save, and again, thank you so much for submitting. Okay, so if I'd said at the start of the video that there was actually going to be 2 Juan Mata saves, then you probably wouldn't have believed me. Miku's Juan Mata save is a little bit different to how the one at the start was. He's retired straight away and decided to become an assistant coach at NAC Breda. Just like in the other save, joining Brisbane made a lot of sense, I think joining NAC Breda in this save makes even more. The background is perfect because Juan Mata wants to play tiki-taka football, and of course the Netherlands is the home to that style. There's so much information in this thread about what Juan Mata wants to do. There's his coaching philosophy, which you can see here. There's his preferred formation information, which is here. There's his manager strengths and weaknesses, some personal goals. It's one of the most detailed club introductions I have ever seen. I've also never seen so much AI used in any of the saves I've ever reviewed. I think Miku has used AI for a lot of the introduction, but he's also generated signing photos, but what really sets this save apart is what you're about to hear.
I mean, on the surface, it looked like a decent deal for Breda.
Yeah, but he wasn't getting much playing time under Juan Mata, was he?
That wasn't Miku talking. Instead, that was an AI-generated podcast segment talking about one of his pre-season matches. That is just next level. The save itself was only just finishing pre-season when I made this video, but can you blame him for moving slowly when there's so much going on? I can't really rate this save because we're so early on, but I thought it was worth sharing, and hopefully it keeps going on and stays at this quality because I'd love to review it when it's fully done. Okay, our next save is actually fully complete, and it is quite rare to be sent a Creator Club save on FC25. They were common on FC22 and FC23, but the last years have totally killed off that game mode. It's even rarer to see one outside of England, so when I was sent this FC24 Italian Serie B save by Marco, I thought that I had to include it. He's created FC Union Trieste, a club based closer to Slovenia and Croatia than any major city in Italy. The background to this save is that the club were promoted from Serie D to Serie B after an American-Italian millionaire bought the club. Marco was appointed as manager and he used ChatGPT to provide backstories for each one of his generated squad, and he also created a few unique storylines to help spice up the save. In the first season, the club won the playoffs against Palermo and also reached Serie A for the first time. In Season 2, the signings were pretty realistic. Kevin Schade was the new star man, and things went okay in Serie A. The storylines would continue, but at the end of the season, Marco was fired and went on to manage Bosnia instead. With Marco saying that's the end of the thread, it's time to rate the save, and we have to go high on originality, because can you say you've ever seen an FC Trieste Creator Club save before? I know I haven't, especially one managed by a Bosnian manager with this much detail in the background. The difficulty seemed like it could be a little bit low because the players weren't really rated that high, but overall, it's a really good save and another one that I'm very glad I spent a bit of time reading, and I recommend you do the exact same. Okay, so now for the final save, and while there was a lot of amazing saves I've not talked about just yet, one I wanted to quickly mention was Logan's Manchester United save. I don't think it's super innovative or super difficult or even super realistic, but it is also the first save using live start points that anyone has sent in. I'm super excited about these, and I'm sure you'll see a lot more saves using them throughout this series as the year goes on. It's also a really fun read, and even though we're a few months in, Fernandes has lost the captaincy, Anthony has scored a hat-trick, and Manchester United have even beaten Manchester City in the last minute. Just like a couple of the other interesting saves I've talked about today, it is quite hard to rate this because there's only a few matches that have been played, but from what I've read, I would go with 3 for realism, 3 for save idea, 3 for difficulty, and 2 for originality. I hope this doesn't seem harsh, because this save is going to be really cool as the save goes further and further in, but thank you so much for sending in the first start point save, and hopefully that gives a lot of people some good ideas of other saves that they could maybe submit in the future. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. I know I didn't really rate a lot of the saves because a lot of them were quite short this time, but there was just so many good ones that it was hard to not include them. If you've submitted a thread and I haven't included it in today's video, then I am so sorry. I did read through every single thread, and because this video was getting so long, I have actually pushed a couple of them back into the December review. But thank you for everyone who provides content for this. Hopefully you enjoyed me talking about some saves and rating them, and I'll see you soon for another video. Check out the playlist and the video on screen right now if you want more content by me, but thank you for watching. I'll see you soon. Cheers and goodbye.